After a long and exhausting game, the players would at least like to see the night conclude without any drama, but sometimes you're gonna have games where you're extremely upset heading to the showers. No need to say much more, let's just get straight into it. These are some of the most controversial endings in basketball history. Enjoy the video. November 13th, 2014, the Memphis Grizzlies managed to come back from down 26 points to the Sacramento Kings, but the job wasn't done yet. As you can see, they were still down by 1 with about 3/10 of a second left, which is obviously not a whole lot of time to work with. Everyone in the building knew that their only hope was some sort of a miracle, and I guess you can say they got one.
Catch and shoot. That's all you got.
Lob for Lee. Yes! 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 Will it count? Yes!
The Grizzlies ran a brilliant inbounds play, making them think that the ball was going to Gasol, but instead got completely caught off guard as Courtney Lee went backdoor for a wide open layup, leaving Sacramento totally confused. But hold on, the confusion doesn't stop there. They were stuck asking, does it even count? Here's a screenshot that might help you better understand their skepticism. It clearly shows that the clock hasn't even started yet, well after Courtney Lee catches the ball, even as he was on the verge of releasing the ball, so you could see why there was some concern. Keep in mind, it's not like Lee just tipped it in or something. He actually took his sweet old time fully catching the ball, and also bringing it back down in the process, then eventually releasing the ball. This created a huge debate on whether it should have counted. The Kings were paranoid and believed that they had to have benefited from a friendly scoreboard operator, basically accusing them of having too much of a home court advantage that night. But what they should have took into consideration was the fact that the operator is only human and just wasn't able to press the button exactly in time. Sacramento, along with their fans, believed that they got robbed, stating that that little amount of time should make it impossible to get that shot off, just like this announcer said about this JJ Redick shot back in 2010.
It doesn't matter if fitting in, which I think will happen pretty quickly. Nope, it won't count. Nope, there's no way you get that off in 3/10 of a second. There's just no way that's going to count. No chance. Here's that last play of the half that they counted, and I think the officials have made a big mistake here. You cannot catch the ball, bring it up, and shoot it in 3/10 of a second. You just can't. The rules say you can't. I don't understand how they can count that basket.
But when it comes down to it, in regards to the Grizzlies game, they did get the call right, because according to NBA rules, which is something that they slightly got wrong, is that as long as there is at least 3/10 of a second left on the clock, it is possible that a player can secure possession and quickly shoot it without having to tip it in. So a situation like this is perfectly fine.
They get it to Fisher. He scores! Derek Fisher scores at the buzzer!
Otherwise, if the clock shows any less than 3/10 of a second, then you're forced to settle for a shot like this.
As they throw it at the basket.
If you didn't know already, there's a famous incident that took place at the end of one particular game that changed the NBA rulebook forever, and it's called the Trent Tucker rule. So we have to go all the way back to January 15th, 1990 to see where this rule originated. The Bulls were visiting the Knicks, and as you can see, New York only had 1/10 of a second to make something happen, and they most certainly did.
Jackson looking for Ewing. Tucker launches it. It's good! It's good! Yes, it is possible to shoot with 1/10 of a second left.
Trent Tucker heaved the ball towards the basket from beyond the arc, and gave the Knicks a 109-106 victory over the Bulls. And let's just say that Phil Jackson was pretty heated by what just happened, as he believed it was not possible to get that shot off in time. So after an extreme amount of pressure, the NBA ultimately agreed with Phil Jackson that it is highly unlikely that any shot could be taken before 0.1 seconds expires. So entering the very next season, that's when the league decided to implement the Trent Tucker rule. The man literally changed the NBA, as from that point forward, the league only allows tip-ins or high lobs if you're ever in a situation like that, and not a full catch and release like the shot Trent Tucker made anymore. Many years later, sharpshooter / former three-point champion Jason Capono actually attempted to rewrite the rulebook by putting it to the test on an episode of Sports Science. And after several tries, he finally proved that it is indeed possible to catch and release under 0.3 of a second.
Jason did it in less time than it takes to blink an eye.
But that little stunt still wasn't enough to convince the NBA otherwise. Now let's quickly go back to that Kings-Grizzlies game. Another complaint that they had after the game was that it was believed that Ryan Hollins might have possibly tipped the inbounds pass thrown by Vince Carter, getting a fingertip on it, which of course should have immediately started the clock. But it was extremely hard to tell, so you can't really blame the officials for that one. The Kings felt so strongly about their case that they soon went on to protest the loss, which the NBA did humor them by reviewing it one more time, but they still came to the same conclusion that it was just too close to call, and decided not to overturn it. All in all, it was a good sight to see Courtney Lee get some redemption for that heartbreaking miss at the end of Game 2 of the 2009 NBA Finals. Transitioning to another ending that was just as chaotic, it was November of 2016, Toronto visiting Sacramento. The Raptors down by 3 with 2.4 seconds left in the game.
The Raptors, don't worry about them going to the basket. Can't beat you with the 2. Ross. Oh my goodness gracious, and we're going to overtime.
Now, to the naked eye, everything seemed pretty legit, right? Well, unlike that Grizzlies game, there actually was a tipped ball that occurred. The replay does show that DeMarcus Cousins managed to get a finger on the ball, and for real this time, the Kings were basically in the exact same situation they were just in 2 years earlier, except DeMarcus guarded the inbounds play this time around, and fortunately for them, the officials caught it this time and made a call in their favor by waving off Terrence Ross's game-tying three-pointer. The rules say that the clock does have to begin counting down as soon as someone touches the ball, but the Toronto Raptors were not very happy with the final decision.
I think this is the game's over. Yep, game over, no basket. And Dwayne Casey is furious, but I don't think he has a leg to stand on here, Jerry. The ball was clearly deflected. They timed it in New Jersey.
The situation got so out of hand that the referees actually went out of their way to prove that Ross's shot does not count by whipping out their own stopwatch, and by doing so, they ultimately determined that from the time Cousins touches the ball to the time Terrence Ross releases the ball, that 2.5 seconds had already passed, therefore proving that there was not enough time for Ross to get that shot off. Man, the Kings barely escaped this one. They could have easily been screwed over again if the officials didn't see it. And their coach at the time, Dave Yeager, wanted to make sure they do leave with the win by telling his players to leave the court before the refs could change the call, pulling a Derek Fisher moment of their own by wanting to get the heck out of there as soon as possible. It's completely understandable for wanting nothing more than to wring the officials' necks if you feel they cost you the game, just like these high school players look like they wanted to do to this referee. It was January of 2012, Sarah versus Price. Price was up by 2 with about 9 seconds left in the game. As you can see, it looks like Sarah managed to tie the game, but one official in particular thought otherwise. How about you guys be the judge on this one? Shockingly, the ref was as cold-blooded as it gets, instantly saying the bucket was no good, without any hesitation, then immediately ran off the court to seek safety because he knew that everyone on Sarah's side would be pissed. And they definitely were. You could see them slapping the court in frustration. So that was just a small collection of some very controversial endings to basketball games. Feel free to let me know down in the comments below about some other ones that come to your mind. Also, make sure to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed, and of course, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.